Want to welcome you to my training. Today, we're going to be talking about perfect capability statements. I talk about this is for 8As, how 8A firms, especially towards the end of this year, the fiscal year, they can have perfect capability statements that increase visibility for your company. But the tips I'm going to provide are valuable to anybody out there. So it's really important to be tracking on this. And I'm going to give you actionable tips today on what to do with the capability statement and how to increase that visibility for your company. One of the big reasons I'm pushing for this, all this week and all this training I'm doing, but in particular this week as I'm pushing on training around 8A small businesses, is that the spending at the end of the year for 8A small businesses is 10 times the amount that's spent throughout the year. There's a big push, especially like sole source, direct award contracts, that massively increases in September. And so you need to be visible for buyers to be able to find you and call you, invite you to bid, or invite you to talk to their program office, whoever it is. But if they can't find you, when they're going to go on this feeding frenzy, if you will, if they can't find you, then they're not going to be able to buy from you. And that's why I'm trying to teach you these tips today on how to make sure you can be findable. And when they find you, you're attractive. And I'll talk more about that later. Your company is attractive to the search intent that they had when they went looking for somebody like you. But I just want you to keep this in mind, because I'm going to talk about capability statements. And later I'll tell you that I'm talking about it at an advanced level, but sometimes we just dismiss capability statements and the power of a capability statement. But imagine a capability statement is out there working for you in some federal agency's hard drive, and they go to look for a company like yours, and they find you, and they come to you, talk to you, and award you a contract. $100,000 contract, $1 million contract. How would that impact your business? How would you feel if the entire work you had to do was to respond to their call, right? I'd feel great about it. And so you need to make sure that you're making it easy for buyers to be able to find you and then to call you. And capability statements going a long way towards that. Today, we're going to be talking three main things I want to cover down on. What is a capability statement? Really understanding the purpose and the value, the power behind a capability statement. The second thing is I want to walk through the perfect capability statement. I want to first go through the framework and let you see that, the layout, et cetera. And then I'm going to show you 4 examples of capability statements that are in this framework that are out there working for the companies that are using them. And these are just 4 examples I grabbed. And then the final thing I want to talk to you about is how can you maximize the capability statement's value to your visibility when you have it in a perfect state, when it looks great and it's configured the right way or built the right way. How do you make sure you maximize it, its visibility out there? Where do you put it? I'm going to cover down on that in step 3 of today's training. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market, and since 2018, I've been helping people like you realize that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. Process goes from A to Z, and when you follow a process, you have repeatable, predictable results. And today I'm going to talk to you about the process of using your capability statement for visibility. I want to thank the GovCon Chamber of Commerce sustaining members. Because of you, we're able to constantly do a lot of training. We put out content, we put out ebooks, all that material that we put out there for the benefit of small businesses across the entire country come from the generosity of sustaining members. So just thank you on behalf of the sustaining members. Okay, snap your seatbelt. We're going to go for a ride here on what capability statements are and what a perfect capability statement is, right? And think about this beyond just, I went to PTAX and they told me I need a capability statement. I have it. We start a business. We all know we need a capability statement. But I feel like so many people don't understand the power of a capability statement. And the purpose, right? The only purpose of a capability statement is to get you a meeting. It's not to sit there and have any other purpose. It's not to inform, right? That's really important. Your job as a salesperson for your company is to inform. When you have a briefing deck and it's got a lot of slides and a lot more information, that's informing them more about your company. The purpose of a capability statement is to just generate enough interest that they say, hey, let's meet. Let's have that intro call. Let's move forward. And so a good capability statement is going to get you found. It's going to be out there in social media, on the web, and somebody's searching and they find you. It's going to be in a hard drive because you went to an event and gave it to somebody and they saved it, right? It's getting you found. And when it's built correctly, it will help your company get found while you're home sleeping, right? A buyer is learning more about your company. it's going to get you reviewed. So this idea of if somebody sees it, they're going to then look at it. And when they look at it is when you're attractive. I describe it as findability and then being attractive. Findability is they're searching for something. They have a search intent. They're searching for a company that does cybersecurity. Your capability statement comes up. Now they're looking at it. You're getting reviewed and you're being attractive. Your company is attracted to them because your company's capability statement basically screams cybersecurity, which matches their search intent. And then it goes to this third bullet here where it gets you on the short list. And short lists basically are an invitation to come in to talk, a meeting, right? One of the things that I talk about with my team and the way we describe the capability statement is that it's supposed to be the movie trailer, the teaser, the thing that excites you to want to buy a ticket and go into the movie theater, right? It's not the actual movie. The movie, in our case, in government contracting, is the many meetings that we have, right? All of those meetings together make up the chapters in the movie that we're watching. But the capability statement is designed just to say, hey, would you like to come along and watch the movie with us? Would you like to come into our movie and be part of our movie? And when you see a capability statement as a trailer, then you realize that it's just there. And there's hundreds of these out there on YouTube where you can watch a trailer, or on Netflix, you want to watch the trailer. Does it interest you enough to watch the movie? And that's what you're trying to do with your capability statement, is get your customer to come watch the movie, to come have meetings with you, to learn about your company and have discussions about how you can work together in the future. Okay, so let's talk about the perfect cap stat. Not that I'm trying to coin that term. It just needed short words there. But the perfect capability statement, I want to walk you through what it looks like, and first in a framework and then in real examples. But before I go too far into this, I just want to talk about what I'm calling truisms at the moment. And the idea, the first truism we have to admit to ourselves is that government buyers, especially the market researchers, go through hundreds of capability statements. I'm going to an event and I'm speaking in September. And at this event, there'll be 300 or 400 people there. All businesses trying to work with the government agencies who are going to be at this event. All of us are bringing our capability statements, right? Not me, but all of you are bringing capability statements. And I'm going to be there collecting these capability statements as a government buyer or market researcher. And I'm going to get 50 or 100, or a couple of hundred even, right? And so I have to go through all of these. You need to make it as easy as possible for when I'm flipping through all these paper ones, for example, that when I see yours, it's easy to consume and it's easy to sit there and shortlist you and say, you know what, let me look more at this one. There's things that you can do to make your profile or your capability statement jump out. And there's things you can do to make it just go, I'm not even looking. It's too hard. An example to me is small font. If you got small fonts, I'm not reading it. I got bad eyes. I'm old. Okay. Next truism is that your capability statement is not designed to win awards. And I mean, in this case, graphic awards. You don't ever want somebody to say, wow, that is the best looking capability statement I ever saw. That doesn't do your company any good. You want this capability statement to win one award, if any, and that's a government contract award, right? You want the award for the most meetings held because of your capability statement. You don't want awards for how great it looks. Don't worry about making it look so beautiful, right? You don't need a committee. You need it to have hitting the marks. And I'll talk about what the marks are. The other thing going with that winning award, which is winning awards is like too graphically pretty. The third bullet here, does not need to reflect everything, right? You don't need to tell every single thing that you could do, that you have done, that you sell. You don't need every single one of your NAICS. I see people put 25 NAICS on their NAICS codes on their capability statement. You don't need that. 5, for example, on NAICS is more than enough. If you don't like me and give me a meeting because I have only these 5, then you're not the right person for me to be meeting with, right? But when I find the right person, they're going to look at my capability statement and go, oh, that's exactly what we talk to, the people we like to talk to. Come on in, let's have a meeting, right? It doesn't mean I'm buying from you. It just means you do cyber. I run a cyber shop inside the government. Let's talk. Let me hear what you can do. So it doesn't need to reflect everything you do out there, including you don't need to tell every single cyber functionality, capability, et cetera, that you could possibly do. And then the next one is the last truism that I just put there is that you only have 6 seconds to capture people's attention. The reality is you're here at this event, something caught your attention, and I got to assume it's the title of the training that I'm doing today. And I can't even remember exactly what the title is, but basically how to have the perfect capability statement for 8A small businesses, right? That increases visibility. You only have a little bit of time to capture people's attention. Think about how much time you give anything that you look at before you make a decision to look at it further or move on. Whether you're looking at Facebook or LinkedIn in the morning, even whether you're looking in your email and you're seeing a whole bunch of emails coming in, do you actually respond to all of them, right? Do you even look at all of them? And you're looking for the ones that'll catch your eye. Capability statements are the same, are in that same format, right? When a buyer or a market researcher is going to look at a capability statement, they're going to make that decision really fast. Do I keep looking at it or do I move on? And if you can't capture their attention enough in the first 6 seconds, they're going to move on, right? It's just human nature. It's nothing bad. It's nothing good. It's just human nature that we really have a short attention spans. And so 6 seconds is what you want to keep in mind to capture the attention. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in 6 seconds. In fact, let me switch over to this Z format capability statement. I'll show you what I mean. So this thing here, by the way, it's just a handout that I give out. If you'd like a copy of this, put capability, just put CapStat handout into the chat. And I'm happy to send this to you, let you know where it's at. But this is a handout I use as a framework to show the template that I recommend you use for capability statements. Again, when you forget about winning awards for beauty, you just look for pure functionality. So this is what we call a 6-second Z format capability statement. And I'm going to walk you through it. So let me explain what the Z format is. I already talked about 6 seconds. The Z format, you can see this big red Z, unless you're colorblind, and I apologize. But this big red Z, you can see it coming down. What it is, what I'm trying to tell you with that Z is that people read in a Z format. Look right here where it says BD in a box helps customers implement enterprise IT modernization strategies, including transitioning to the cloud, right? Whatever the line means. The way I read that was left to right and then back to the bottom left and back again. I'm reading in a Z format. That's how we read, at least in America, right? There might be other ways to read. And so your capability statement, you want the same thing. Your Z format comes across the header, the most important information, then down to the bottom left in that diagonal way, and then over to the bottom right. That format is exactly how somebody will skim or look at your capability statement very fast. And so let's talk about what's where and why I do that. There's 3 sections you really need to pay attention to. There's the header, there's the body, and there's the footer. The footer is the least important information. So whatever is down there, the customer doesn't need to know about first. And whatever's at the top, they need to know about first. So let me walk you through this header and this way I lay it out. In the top left-hand side, I put the company logo. The very first thing I want somebody seeing is my company name, company logo type thing, right? And you can move around this, the header a little bit to fit it, but basically you're looking for these same components. So the first thing I want to do is tell them my company name. The second thing I want to do is to make sure it says the word capability statement. I don't care if there's a debate about whether you should have it or not have the words on there, have it. 80% of the people want you to have it, so have it. Capability statement. You want to make it really clear. This is my capability statement. That's a formal marketing tool within the government world, and they want you to have a capability statement. So put those words there. The next thing, you can't see it right now, but it's right below the red line. You can see cage code. Actually, let me zoom in. That'll make it easier, right? So right here, I've got the cage code and UEI. The reason I have the cage code and UEI is because I am demonstrating to the government that I am registered in SAM, and because I have a cage code, I'm a little bit farther along. It doesn't tell a ton, but it tells them immediately, okay, well, Neil's registered in SAM. That's all these subliminal things that are saying, is he procurement ready? That's what I'm trying to communicate really fast. So coming across to the right, and I'll get to the middle again in a minute, to the right, I have the 4 designations, and actually it's economically disadvantaged, but it could be just the women-owned certification. But there's 4 programs that the SBA runs that they do set-asides for. Those are what we call tags in the government contracting world. We're not supposed to lead with our tags verbally, but it sure is okay to lead with them in writing because you're not saying anything. So you don't want to walk in and say, I'm a veteran-owned company, give me some contracts, right? You want to sit there and say, I'm a cyber company and we do the best and we protected this agency and this agency from attacks. No one ever gets through our stuff. Buy from us, right? You're leading with your capabilities. And so up here, though, you do want to take advantage of the tags, because as much as the government says don't lead with your tags, if you have your company name here and they come across and they see 8A or HubZone, they're going to circle it, whether they do it in their mind or with a pen, because they're going to go, oh, you're a HubZone. Yeah, we are. I wasn't going to tell you, but as long as you're mentioning it, right? And so it's a way to lead with your tags without actually leading with your tags. And so in a split second, let me come back to this one page here. In a split second, I have just communicated, less than 1 second, I have just communicated my company name, that I'm in SAM, and that I'm in one of the small business programs, right? I've added one other thing of value up here in the header, which is a contract vehicle. And the reason I do that is I say, look, this is who we are. We're registered in SAM. We've got a HubZone designation, and we have a contract vehicle. It's like, all right. So in a split second, I can see your procurement ready. And if I felt like it, I could reach you. But that is 1 second. Anybody who's reading these would be able to get that in 1 second or less. It's that fast, right? So then coming down the axis here, the next two major things that they see are what do you sell and who has bought it, right? So your core competency and your past performance. So right here, I just got some big words, and I'll show you different ways to lay it out in here. But my point is you don't want a lot of words. And so this is a place where I should say nothing on your capability statement, except for in the footer, nothing on your capability statement should be less than 14-point font. If you have it less than 14-point font, you're trying to write a book. If you can't get your company's core competencies and your message communicated in one page in 14 font, then you haven't made it concise enough. And you really need to think about, how can I create a hook and an elevator pitch? Those are very limited amount of times to say something. And so you can do it and you begin to work at it. And when you remember, you don't want to tell everything, just enough to capture their attention to get in the door. So here's core competencies. Down here, I break past performance into two sections. First, I say who, and let me zoom in that one a little bit for you. Come on. Okay, right here. First thing I do is I say, what agencies have I worked with, or companies or whatever. And then the second thing I say is, well, what projects have I done for them? So past performance is saying, I've been paid for this work that I said was my core competency. So the first thing I'm saying is, this is who has paid me. And the second thing I'm saying is, these are the projects they have paid me for. The reason I separated out, instead of saying U.S. Army, I did enterprise and data architecture, and NGA, I did single sign-on. Instead of doing that, I put it this way so that it's easier for the reader to consume. The first thing they're consuming, a different spot in their mind, if you will, is, okay, those are the agencies. They're like us. I'm comparing it. That agency is similar to our size, or their DOD and we're DOD, whatever it is. The only thing I got them thinking about is agency to agency comparison. Then I'm saying, think about some projects. So now in the sample projects, they'll see what I wrote, and in their head now, a list of their own projects will come up. And so I want, when they see something, to compare something of equal value. If I see agency names, I'm comparing it against my agency name. If I see sample projects, I'm comparing it against sample projects. So that's why we break it that way. And right here, we only have 6, right? That's a lot. You don't need anything more than that. And what I say to people is, if you have to have more than 6, then the person you're meeting with is not the right one. If I couldn't convince them with 6 sample projects, how are they going to be convinced by number 7, right? Okay, and then coming across to the right, you see differentiators. And so differentiators are really hard to communicate when you're new. But as you start gaining experience and you get some ISO certifications, some other stuff, like you'll see somebody else has a certification saying we got a lot of Air Force experience. Well, that's a differentiator as well. The idea of differentiators, and let me zoom in one more time here, down here to the bottom. Here's an example, Amazon Web Services partner. Well, if you're saying you sell cloud services, and then you say you're an Amazon Web AWS partner, and our agency does AWS stuff, those are 3 things that immediately make me feel a little bit more attuned to what you're, who you are in your company, et cetera. And so these differentiators, you're just putting them down. And the last thing at the bottom is the stuff that doesn't matter. Nobody cares about NAICS codes. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody can tell anything about your company when they see 541, 5119, or 519, right? What does that tell me about what your capability is? Nothing in here. Even data hosting and data and hosting services doesn't say anything, because so many things are bought on that NAICS. And so I just put the NAICS way to the bottom. And the same thing with your name. No one cares who you are, what your name or email is, until they know that they want to work with you. So this is the Z format. It's just designed to be a wireframe example for anybody who wants to create a Z format capability statement. So let me know if you want that. Just put handout into the chat, and let me show you some examples of capability statements. Just a few different companies out there. These are real companies. This company's doing cyber. These guys are experts in cyber. But look at this coming across. I see the cage code in UEI. I see they're 8A certified. So instantly, in less than a half a second, I know a lot about them, that much about them, right? I'm coming down and I see the core competency. Instead of saying the words core competency, they wrote cybersecurity, and then they did GRC plus engineering and operations. For any agency, any person looking at this who is the right one to meet with, who understands cyber, these words are more than enough. They've got 5 major bullets with 2 sub bullets under each. Those are 10 sub bullets saying this is what we do. If you need an 11th bullet, then you're the wrong person for me to work with. Same thing as you come over, right? Over here, we got rid of the paragraph where we're just saying we've done DoD, we've done civilian, and then here's the sample projects. Differentiator for this company, they talk about they've worked in the government clouds, DoD and high side cloud. Somebody who's in the cloud business will get this immediately, that this company here can really help with their cyber needs. By the way, so AssureSec, reach out to them if you're looking for cyber teaming partners. This other one, Legacy, these guys are doing acquisition support. So they work with the contracting shops to help them. And as you come from their logo across, you see that they're registered in SAM. You see that they're 8A certified and woman-owned small business. You instantly move past that. We've mentioned the tags, we move on, right? Here's acquisition support, and they're talking about the type of work they do, and they broke it up into different activities like pre-acquisition, before the acquisition drops, and then post-acquisition, how they run it, manage it, whatever. And then same thing over here. You can see they've got heavy Army experience. So DoD and Army is a good spot. And then they've done some on the civilian side as well. When you look at the differentiators, they're really speaking to the years of experience in the leadership team. And they talk about how they've got some clearances, et cetera. So as you move forward, and then if you look at the bottom, let me zoom out. Whoop, that's a little too far, huh? But down here is where their contact information is NAICS codes. That's the least important information. If somebody up here likes us, then they're going to look at the bottom and find the point of contact. So if you're looking for acquisition support, teammates or whoever, go to Legacy. And then Bayan Group, this has been out here. Bayan's been a member of our community in this training for a long, long time. And they've actually had the Navy talk about how this is so easy to look at, right? But you come across, you see the same thing. They did it differently. They have a logo that's wider, so they stacked capability statement under it. But they're communicating. We're registered, we're a hub zone, and we've got a contract vehicle you can reach us with. In less than a second, they communicated all of that. Then they talk about what they do. Here they changed a little bit, and they talk about we do technology enablers. Here's the tech stuff we work on, and business enablers like business system integration. And so they're really speaking to not only here's the tech we use, but the solutions we help you in your agency with. And then a lot of past performance, separating it out, right? They're highlighting that they work for some of the biggest commercial companies out there. Now, they don't have a big past performance in the federal side yet, but they're doing tons of work on the commercial side with the largest defense integrators, right? So Northrop Grumman, Burns and McDonnell, I think might be construction type thing, but all sorts of past performance. So if you're looking for a SharePoint company, here they are. But their differentiator, they talk about how many users they've supported. And, they're putting down their past performance rating. So, hey, we can get our customers to tell you how well we're doing. And then at the very bottom, you've got their information, little tagline, who to call, say hello to Hunter because she's usually in these trainings. And then this last one is a variation, right? If this one looks this way, this one looks a little different. It's got a little bit more color or something in there. But Cybertech GRC, right? You come across SDVO. I think this woman-owned. They've got their numbers here at the bottom of the header, and then GSA. So you can see right away, SDVO, they're on a schedule and they're in SAM. I instantly know they're procurement ready to a certain degree. Well, what do they sell? Okay, well, they sell these things. Okay, so let's look at that. And they're hitting some of the biggest words. If you are not attracted to having a meeting with them, when they tell you they're zero trust experts, they do governance and risk, risk and compliance type activity. If you see those words and don't go, oh yeah, come on in, then it's just the wrong meeting, right? And then down here, same thing. They've got past performance. They talk about they work with large primes. They've worked with the Air Force, et cetera. And their differentiator over here, led by Air Force veterans. They've got security clearances. They've got cybersecurity or certifications. They got a lot of this stuff, and they've got a lot of partnerships with established cybersecurity firms so they can help agencies reach those firms. They're highlighting all of this in 6 seconds, right? And so these are really quick examples of how you can do it. By the way, another cyber company, a lot of Air Force experience if you're looking for somebody to team up with on projects. Okay, so let me come back to here, and I want to wrap up really quickly with just some tips on how to maximize the visibility of your capability statement. And you can watch the replay of this. You can ask me for the handout, but when you follow my guidance, and I forgot to show you this, actually, let me show you because this is so important. If you come in here and you pull up properties, so here, Sukman and Capri in AssuredSec, they've got metadata in here. They're saying cybersecurity, FISMA, AWS, all that. This is called metadata. Learn about it. I've done whole trainings on it. But when you put metadata into your capability statement, and you can find that just under the file menu, under properties, when you put the metadata in, your capability statement will come up before your competitors. Number 2, put this on your website. Don't make anybody put an email address or anything else. Just put it there so they can download your capability statement. Do the same thing on LinkedIn. Put it in your featured section. You can submit a post in the morning and say, hey, here's our capability statement. Take a look at it. Let us know if we can help you. And then there's 2 people, number 4 and 5, that work for SBA that could help you. One's the business opportunity specialist, and all 8A firms know theirs. And then the procurement center representatives tend to focus on an agency. So like Stacy is going out to the Air Force, she would team up with the PCR who's responsible for the Air Force. She should be sending that capability statement to them because PCRs, procurement center representatives, work with agency buyers. You want the PCR to know who you are. That way, if they're ever asked, hey, do you know any 8A small businesses that do such and such? You've got some advocates out there with 4 and 5. And the last thing is there's like over 100 supplier portals that are out there, agency and large primes. I have an ebook you can download from www.govconchamber.com. It's free. Download it. It's got the links to go in. But go in and put your information in. And if you can, for many of them you can, add your capability statement. Now, when buyers go looking, especially end of the year spending, when buyers go looking, they're able to find you because your capability statement is where they're looking. So a bunch of quick tips. I know it's a fire hose pace. Just go back and watch me at half speed. But here's what I want you to remember from today's training. When you think about your capability statement, they only have 6 seconds to look at it. So less is more. Don't worry about shoving everything in. Just shove enough to get their attention, right? Because capability statements have one job. It's to get you in the door. You just want to get that meeting, right? And for everybody, remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.